31st Annual Aerospace and Defence Conference by Gabelli Funds, live on Martyn Lucas Investor. Hey up everyone, welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. I'm Vaz and I'm covering this already mentioned Defence and Aerospace 31st Annual Conference by Gabelli Funds. We have an interesting panel of a lot of whether they are market-leading defense and aerospace companies. We also have some startups as well. So we will be bringing you 4 events, 4 companies. First of which is RedWire. Next one will be Aero Corporation. Another one, the third one, will be New Horizon Aircraft. Very interesting player on the eVTOL and defense market. Very new company with a great potential. And at the end of the show, I'll be bringing you I forgot the name. Bear with me. I'll be bringing you Bridger Aerospace. Bridger Aerospace. What is that? Well, they are flying firefighters. So this is the very first company on the 31st Annual Aerospace and Defense Conference by Gabelli Funds. Their presentation, RedWire presentation, is starting very shortly. In the meantime, I can offer you a short introduction. We are now looking out. I'm eyeing. I'm not playing any audio. I'm eyeing when RedWire is coming on the stage. It should be any minute, so bear with me. In the meantime, hit the like button. Let me know in the chat if you are interested in this company, if you ever heard about RedWire, and if you are invested in RedWire as well. Lucas aids, Martyn has probably not had some good news. So if we can send love to Martyn and Leah, everyone, that would be great. Those who just joined, we are covering Gabelli Aerospace and Defence Conference, 31st Annual Conference by Gabelli Funds, and we are waiting for RedWire to come on the stage. I'm watching on the other screen. As soon as they come up, I will shut up and I will bring them on. So in the meantime, I will give you a bit of lay down what this conference is about. So the Gabelli, by the way, this will be part of your tomorrow's newsletter. The Gabelli Aerospace and Defense Conference is one of Wall Street's premier annual gatherings for aerospace, aviation and defense investors. Hosted by Gabelli Funds, it brings together management teams from leading listed companies to present their strategies, financials and market outlooks directly to institutional investors. This is why you as an investor need to attend these conferences, because they usually are dropped some hints, some subtle hints, some surprising reveals as well, like Archer Aviation. In one of the conferences 4 or 5 weeks ago, Adam Goldstein, the CEO, he noted, like if it was nothing, that Archer Aviation will be probably shifted more towards the defense rather than the civil sector. And this is a massive shift for the company. And you usually find out about these news few days after it's happened. And the moment of surprise is gone. So you as an investor are in the right place right now. Bear with me, we are waiting for RedWire to come on the stage. The previous company, Curtiss-Wright Corporation, they are just finishing, and I'll be bringing you, they have some Q&A, and I'll be bringing you RedWire on the screen very soon. We have quite interesting panels. So who's taking part in this Aerospace and Defense Conference? We have Textron, parent company of Bell Helicopter, Cessna, Beechcraft, and E-Aviation. Big names and very popular and famous names in the aerospace sector. Also, parent company of Pipistrel Aero, who are the manufacturer of a hybrid cargo drone. eVTOL drone. It is a very large drone. We have Moog, precision controls for aerospace and defense. There's a lot of suppliers as well. Not only manufacturers, but suppliers as well. We've got Heiko, one of the largest independent aviation parts and system suppliers. We've got Elbit Systems, Israeli defense electronics leader. We've got Curtiss-Wright, advanced engineered defense solutions. We've got Rheinmetall, one of the biggest animals on the defense market. German Defense Prime, rising on European rearmament. And then we got Standard Aero, Albany International, Ducomum, sorry, Astronics, Grime Corporation, and more. We have big established legacy companies, and we also have some startups on the sheet, on the panel. So definitely stay with us. RedWire will be coming up in the very minute. They are packing up now. They are changing the seats, so I'll bring them on the screen very shortly. Next we will be covering Aero, a big player in defense as well. They are manufacturing their own eVTOL, and they are supplying key component to Joby Aviation. So if you are interested in Joby Aviation, that'll be the next event. These panels are usually between 25-30 minutes, so we will wrap it up and then it will take you to the next event right away. The following one is New Horizon Aircraft, new emerging eVTOL manufacturer who have their 7-seater prototype. It's a hybrid eVTOL, and it's supposed to have market-leading range. And they are also very heavily focused on defense. A very big potential. Although it's a very early startup, a very great upside in front of them. And the last one will be Bridger Aerospace flying firefighters. So basically the Super Scoopers, the yellow and red aircraft who are firefighting the wildfires in Los Angeles and California, wherever around the world. This is the company, and I think it's a very interesting business. But now we are waiting for RedWire, literally changing the seats. It will be up on the screen in the very minute. Let me just quickly go through it, what RedWire actually do. They are based in Jacksonville, Florida, founded 2020, public listing September 2021 via SPAC merger. The original company was Genesis SPAC acquisition, and the stock range in 52 weeks, $5 all the way to almost 27. What they do? They deployable power systems like ROSA solar arrays. We have in-space manufacturing and biotech. They will definitely be talking about this, and they'll be showing you some slides. No doubt they'll be showing some slides, so I will not go too much ahead. Advanced sensors, avionics, and digital engineering. So basically this is a space company who are trying to not take over, but they will be focused on lower Earth orbit. And their last financials, their customers are NASA, US Department of Defense, Boeing, Pharma R&D. They also, no doubt, they will mention Lunar as well. And you will find out why. They will definitely mention Lunar. What is the company called? Lunar, ticker symbol Lunar. Oh dear. Bear with me. Let me just Google it. That's a dull moment. Lunar stock. Intuitive Machines. That's the one. Intuitive Machines. They will, no doubt, they will mention Intuitive Machines. So the last quarter financials will be coming up in the very second. RedWire coming on the panel. We are almost set up. They will start talking soon. As soon as they start talking, I will shut up. I will zip it. And I'll put them on the screen for you. Revenue for last quarter, 61.8 million. Net loss, 97 million. Adjusted EBITDA, 27.4 million. Backlog, order backlog, 329 million. And liquidity, 113.6 million. No doubt we will get some update and lay down on the conference as well. So they are literally just coming up.
Have my teammate.
They are coming up. Let me know if the audio is okay, if the audio level is okay, and they are now almost there. Bear with me.
So now
okay,
I'd like
I came
to
in too early.
Chief Financial Officer of RedWire. RedWire Corp is an integrated aerospace and defense company focused on advanced technologies in aerospace infrastructure, autonomous systems, and multi-domain operations, leveraging digital engineering and AI automation. Its capabilities span avionics, sensors, power solutions, critical structures, mechanisms, RF systems, platforms, missions, microgravity payloads, and UAS technology with applications across low Earth orbit, geostationary orbit, leveraging deep space missions, including specialized avionics, navigation, sensors, and solar array solutions for spacecraft of varying sizes and power needs. RedWire has about 144 million shares for a market cap of around 1.3 billion and net debt of around 100 million.
Let me know if the audio level is okay.
I mean, we forget that we just completed the largest acquisition in the company's history. We bought one of the largest private UAS manufacturer and system and solution providers in the world called Edge Autonomy, which we closed on right before the second quarter. We do have a presentation, so I'm going to go through that because obviously the litany, exactly, of what you guys just heard has an organizational dynamic.
I told you there will be a presentation.
Primarily meets the customer's needs. In the end, that's what this is all about for RedWire. It's meeting that customer, and that customer is not just a defense. This is aerospace and defense, but we have our largest segment is our commercial segment for commercial satellites also. So that's the exciting part. We're at the nexus of commercial space and defense tech, which includes national security, international defense and security, and obviously also civil space, which includes NASA and ESA. So let's just go to the first page. It is being webcast, as I understand, so I'll give page numbers to what we call our RedWire 101 deck. RedWire.
I do apologize for the quality. The stream is a bit
I always
low
tell
res
people,
now.
if you want a one sentence as an investor, RedWire was founded 5 years ago by AE Industrial Partners, probably the leading aerospace and defense investor. They invest all across industrial services and products, but AE has had a thematic investment theme for space really for a decade, but has really put significant capital to work and is really a thought leader in the space. And they're the ones who saw that there was no mid-market kind of TransDigm HEICO for space. And so that's how I say it. We're the TransDigm of space in the 1990s. If people aren't familiar with TransDigm, founded by Kelso in the 90s, really taking advantage of the lowering of thermodynamic efficiency of the new turbofan engines for commercial use, and also just a downturn in the overall market due to the peace dividend in the mid-90s and commercial aircraft and other areas because of the high oil prices. Bottom line is, Kelso created one of the largest aerospace companies, largest, most profitable, most valuable aerospace companies, and AE founded RedWire with that aim, but again, with the customer in mind. So the introduction to RedWire has actually changed really over time. We started out as a pure play space company. I don't want to call us a roll-up because really what we are is a platform, right? We always started as a platform for innovation, but proven technologies that have already been to space for decades. So many of our solutions and products were on the Apollo missions. Many have been, in space on the shuttle, for example. They've been involved in missiles and other products 3-4 decades ago before anybody ever heard of SpaceX. But with the lowering of launch costs, and I think you've probably heard a lot about it today, launch costs have come down from $2 million a kilogram, about 30, 40 years ago to, SpaceX wants to bring it down to $200 a kilogram, which is very similar to a 747, and they're doing it because right now we're kind of hanging around 2,000. So you're talking about orders of magnitude. And there's always been more demand for products and solutions in space than there was supply because launch costs were so expensive. And let's face it, getting into space was less reliable, similar to what was going on in the 1920s and 30s in aerospace. So we were founded, as a company that was going to take innovative but proven technologies and scale them. Now we are doing the same thing in the UAS realm. We provide UASs around the globe and sensors. We are a Group 2 UAS. Does everybody know what Group 2 is? Anybody? Group 2 is 25 kilograms or less. So it's a lighter weight platoon and brigade level UAS system, whereas most people are familiar with the big Predators. Those are Group 5 UAS, more like a fighter aircraft. The bottom line is that there is a real demand for this UAS for tactical information on the battlefield that then when you combine with our satellites and multi-domain, provide strategic advantage. And we're seeing that in Ukraine, we're seeing that in the Middle East wars. And so for me, and again, I guess I should have introduced myself, you did a good job. I'm a former fighter pilot, 15 years almost in the US Air Force flying the F-4 electronic warfare Wild Weasel. I also flew the F-16 in a similar format. And so I have a lot of experience in this, but also my partner in this also has a lot of experience, Pete Canito, who's the CEO and chairman. He's been a Marine, so he gets the need for tactical information getting to the strategic level. And when you do that, you actually create higher levels of P-wins with the contracts. We are not a big company compared to our prime customers, but we are critical to certain products and services. We punch well above our weight. And that's what we'll get into. That's my handsome CEO and chairman there to the left. That's Pete Canito, former Marine, longtime founder and executive at numerous aerospace and defense companies, including Polaris Alpha. And he's been an AE industrial operating partner for many years and helped found Big Bear AI, and also has been part of Firefly and numerous other companies. And then you can see my background. I also had a background in banking at First Boston and JP Morgan.
The stream quality is dropping. Sorry about that. That's
my private equity
on our
firm,
end.
which is Genesis Park, which is a small kind of mid private equity firm with about $1 billion AUM equity and debt. I was the CEO of Bristow Group, which is the largest helicopter and business jet services company in the world. So these are the 4 areas of what we do. And it's changed. You know, we originally went to market as a public company 4 years ago. Actually, we de-SPAC'd 2 days ago, 4 years ago, really as a picks and shovels, TransDigm type of components manufacturer with key components, which I'll talk about. But now we're moving up the value chain. So we talk about people that TransDigm is a model that ends up focusing what we do, because when space wins, RedWire wins. But the bottom line is that space is it's moving so much faster than commercial aerospace and defense that you can move up the value chain very fast. If everybody remembers L3Harris, there may be some people here who even founded the company. L3 moved from a components manufacturer right up into being a prime. It took them 2 decades, but they did it. And you always have to be careful when you do that because you end up competing with your clients. But for us, because the technologies that we're moving up the value chain are differentiated from our prime customers, that we can do both at the same time. So what do? Multi-orbit vehicles, which we'll talk about in 2 seconds, but just understand these are, we call them this, these are orbital drones. We make orbital drones. These are maneuverable spacecraft that are differentiated from what I call the bigger proliferated spacecraft that you see in low Earth orbit, which is really what SpaceX is doing. We're doing multiple but smaller and very maneuverable satellites for national defense. We are doing the same thing on the airborne side. We make Group 2 UASs, which are primarily used for EOIR and surveillance, and we have one of the leading uncrewed systems in the world. Both the Stalker, which I'll talk about, is the United States version with a US supply chain, and then the Penguin, which is made in Latvia. Obviously, we've talked about the critical subsystems. I'll get into those solutions in a second. And then finally, we have this very interesting venture company inside of us that really developed classically out of defense or aerospace applications, but for the biotech industry. We created for NASA a bioprinter, in essence, that creates protein crystals in space, because microgravity is a particularly good environment to do that. And now we're in the process of, and have created a wholly owned subsidiary that will face the biotech industry and start expanding, in some ways with RedWire, in some ways separately as part of RedWire. What are our growth strategies? Very simply, we have 5. 1, we provide the picks and shovels. We go where our clients go. What do they need is what we provide, and we do that globally. Deliver multi-domain platforms, maneuverable orbital drones. That's as simple as I can get it. We do provide a lot of equipment for Mars and Moon. All the landers that you've heard about, including Firefly's Blue Ghost lander, Lunar, which is Intuitive Machines, we're on those with our components. We obviously have the unlocking the breakthrough technology, which is the biopharma business primarily, and then we are really good at M&A, but that's because we don't do that much, right? We look at a lot, but we're very value oriented, and all of our M&A generally are not moonshots. They're meant to be productive, accretive, profitable acquisitions. I'm going to go a little bit faster to get through, just given timing. So what are the picks and shovels of space? Just think about what critical infrastructure is terrestrially. What do you need to live as a human being on the planet Earth? You need water, you need power, you need oxygen, you need a way to get around, you need a place to live, and finally, you need ways to get around all of these. We make all of that infrastructure. So if you want to get around in space, what do you need? You need orientation, control and navigation, you need propulsion. We provide that in avionics and sensors group. We have obviously our power systems, which is one of our largest groups. The power systems, we provide most of the power for the ISS is provided by our solar panels. And we have a very particular technology that rolls out the solar panel as opposed to folding out the solar panel. And that is a unique technology for RedWire, and we have it on satellites, we have it on the ISS, and we plan on having it on other spacecraft, including Blue Origin's Ocean Reef and others that have not been disclosed. We provide a lot of the mechanisms and structures, like I said, to live in space, including boarding and docking, so you can get out into the space environment and back safely. We provide communications, RF antennas, the cell towers of space. We then provide also these platforms, which I'll talk about that, to move up the value chain, and then microgravity research. There are a couple proof points. I'll go through them quickly, but you can read up on them online. The picks and shovels, we generally point to our power systems, which went from less than $20 million of revenue, more than 5 years ago to, we have hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue possibilities and are generating really nice contracted revenue right now. And so that's a good example of a critical piece of technology for, we're not an insignificant company. We have $300 million plus revenue in space, but to have that type of innovation and heritage is unique. And then finally, we also provide very critical antennas to Space Development Agency for their new satellites, which again are used for critical national defense. Proof point for multi-domain platforms. We provide obviously the aerospace VLEO drones, orbital drones. VLEO is very low Earth orbit. It's an area that you used to see, like for example, the SR-71, at least it was classified, but they kind of flew in that transition zone between space and kind of the air atmosphere. We are providing a VLEO platform there that can team up with, again, these airborne platforms, which are our Stalker and our Penguin platforms. Just to give you guys a visual of what it means, what are the different domains that we operate in? Well, airborne, our drones operate up to about 3,000 feet, so about 1,000 meters. They're very quiet, they're very long range, and they actually have a tremendous amount of AI-enabled autonomy, which is key because obviously for the proliferation here, you want the drone to be able to go where it needs to go without being fully directed by a ground personnel. We have the VLEO, which is, let's call it about 100 to 400 kilometers up. And then you've got the LEO platforms. We call them Thresher and Hammerhead. They're operating in the area of about 5,000 to 10,000 miles. And then finally, our GEO platform, the Mako platform. There's a reason they're named after sharks primarily, or have that kind of rubric. It's because they're maneuverable. And everybody thinks, well, satellites in space going around. Well, to get it out of the environment to go refuel another satellite or go take a look at another satellite, it's not easy. It's not something that's common. And so being able to develop these satellites that have some level of heritage. The Hammerhead and Phantom platforms have been flying for a while. SabreSat will fly soon. Thresher, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, ready to rock here in the coming months. Exactly. And then Mako's is Thresher and Mako are both classified, so we don't talk too much about when they're going up. All right, the most favorite slide of all for most investors in 2025, or at least August, September, Golden Dome. So we don't list it specifically. We do have a place on our website about where we can participate. I think there's probably been a lot of discussions today about Golden Dome. Golden Dome is a system of systems to provide, in essence, missile defense for critical United States assets, including this fine island. So the idea here is to take proven combat ready systems like THAAD, like Patriot, but team them up with, for example, our VLEO satellites or other parts of the value spectrum for us and here you're seeing one of our RF antenna test facilities that can be used for Golden Dome. So we are very much a part of it. We're currently at every, we're in the room. To be in the room for Golden Dome, you better have very high security classifications, both in terms of facilities and people, and we have both. Especially for a company our size, we've got numerous SCIFs and many executives who are cleared to be able to have these conversations. If you're not in the room with those classified billets, you're going to struggle to get contracts. When you then look at, let's call it civil space, so NASA and ESA, again, we've been with Blue Ghost, we've been with Lunar, we provide cameras. Most of the pictures that you see from the moon, at least of, let's call it electro-optic or optical, are coming from our cameras. And so for us, Blue Ghost and Lunar, and I always tell people that Lunar, which is their ticker symbol, but Intuitive Machines, they landed on the moon. And they provided tremendous value to NASA. Blue Ghost did land also. They kept going a bit longer, but both are very successful missions in RedWire's eyes. And then we're also teaming up with iSpace on an MOU to put another lander on the moon. And then finally, the lunar surface kind of, for lack of a better word, is difficult. It's regolith, which is what's called lunar dirt, is very, it can gunk up the work. So you have to actually create a little bit of a road to actually travel around the moon. And we're providing, you've seen roads with that little asphalt leveler that you see when they put in new roads. We're doing that for the moon. We're creating what's called Mason, which is a machine that will allow that to happen. We're on contract right now to do that. All right. And then finally, the final growth area is unlocking breakthrough technologies, which is pharmaceutical. We've created bioprinters, I just call them printers, of protein crystals. We've also printed tissue. We've also printed other forms of organic organisms to be able to be used both in space, but also terrestrially. The interesting thing about the bioprinter for protein crystals is you only have to create the protein crystal in space, and then you can get it back down to Earth to replicate it. The hard part is creating it. It needs a microgravity environment to create proper crystals. And it sounds like these crystals are just run-of-the-street crystals. They're not. They're specifically tied to certain therapies. And if you get the right form of crystal, you can get the right therapy. And one of those therapies, for example, Keytruda, used crystals that were developed in space. And you can actually get drugs that are currently stuck, that are not currently going through their FDA, to get them started again, because you can get the crystals that then allow you to perfect the drug and get it through. And these are therapies from cancer. We've announced insulin. We've done fungicides. We started with one mission back in late 2023, fourth quarter, and now we've had 28 pillbox missions. Pillbox is the name of the little cassette that creates these protein crystals. We are now developing a company called Space MD. Yes, we have this trademark, Space MD, that is going to be a company that has these protein crystals that will take royalty payments similar to Fisher Scientific or others that have a drug CDMO. It's a drug CDMO in space that creates the protein crystals. And instead of just doing this for NASA on a fixed price contract where we make a decent amount of money, less than 10% of our revenue, we can actually get these royalty payments, which if the drug goes, and the key here is to get a lot of drugs up there, it can be a hugely accretive from a return on invested capital. We've invested, I think we've talked about over $30 million in this technology with NASA, our client. So this is working. Like, we can make the protein crystals. Now it's about harnessing those crystals for commercial benefit and obviously human benefit. Finally, for M&A, it's the Edge acquisition. Acquisition was approximately $925 million. It was announced in January, closed at the end of June. This is transformative for, I'll give 3 reasons why it's transformative. First of all, it allows us to be broader than just a space tech company. It's space and defense tech. When we went public 4 years ago, it was very much based on a NASA, let's call it ESA type civil space, go to the moon, produce a lot of 3D printing, polymers, and other type of really critical technologies. And we have that, but the NASA budgets and the ESA budget, well, NASA budgets have been cut, ESA budgets are increasing. But we've pivoted to defense tech because that's where I started the conversation tonight. This way, where are our customers going? And our customers are going towards defense, and we have innovative technologies. When you join that up with airborne technologies, you create this multi-domain, we call it BM, triple C, or Battle Management Command Control Communications. You're allowed to take the tactical data and turn it into strategic advantage, which right now it's very difficult to do. You'd think that everybody talks to everybody, but it's not that way at all. It's slow, and especially in an environment that we're seeing in Ukraine and also in the Middle East, you have to be faster. And then it also allows you to analyze the data quickly and in essence, get to our enemy before they get to us. And that's what edge autonomy is about. These are the 11 acquisitions we've done. All the acquisitions are now integrated, right? Even edge autonomy, which is a much more plug and play because they have a tremendous amount of commercial and productive capability, are already inside of RedWire. We have a very well-known and trusted methodology to integration, and I'm proud to say to be a part of that for the last 4 years. We're generally global, and this chart shows it. I mean, we're everywhere from San Luis Obispo to Chantilly, Virginia, to Kyiv, right? And we go where our clients go. At our size, which at midpoint this year, we're saying we're going to get about $500 million of revenue. We have a very efficient and effective footprint both in Europe and the United States. We talk about how we make money. About half of our money is made on fixed price contracts in which we get paid immediately with revenue and EBITDA as the contract gets signed, and then milestone payments provide the cash flow. Governments and these clients generally pay on time, and so we run a pretty efficient balance sheet. We are holding on to about $110 million of cash and cash equivalents, but the bottom line is we're pretty happy with how this has been processed over the last 4 years as a growing company. Just to give people a sense of our growth rates, we've grown revenue on the space side 15 to 25%, on the UAS side 20 to 30% over the past 3 years. It's in the public documentation. And so this is a company that can grow, has been on a path to profitability. It has not been a linear path. We've had a couple steps forward and a couple steps back, but we are one of the few that really talks about becoming a free cash flow positive consistently. We've been free cash flow positive for quarters and LTMs in the past, but we want to make money this way. On the UAS, we make money in a more mature way. What I mean by that is we're at production, so our clients have a fleet and they order parts of the fleet. Finally, this is the revenue breakdown on page 20 of the RedWire 101 deck, and you can see that roughly half of our revenue comes out of Europe and half the revenue comes out of the United States. Civil space, commercial, and national security. Once we bring the drone business in for a full year, you'll see that each of those are going to be 25%. So 25% civil space, both international and domestic, 25% international defense and security, 25% national defense and security, and then 25% commercial. Each of those grow at different rates, but the bottom line is we're well diversified for a company of our size and growth. And then finally, the financial summary. This is a little bit deceptive in that we only closed the acquisition really during the last 2 weeks of June, so we're not getting the full benefit of the acquisition, but you'll see that in the third and the fourth quarter and going forward. But LTM revenue, 261. You'll see that our adjusted EBITDA was negative. We have not been consistent on that over the past number of quarters, but we always have had a direction to be positive EBITDA, and we've been positive EBITDA many, many quarters and many years. Generally, our EBITDA margins with our new acquisition would be about 10%, and we're trying to grow that to 20%. And what we do talk to people about is we have an $11 billion 5-year pipeline, and we've bid on $2.5 billion of contracts to date, commercial, security, defense, and civil this year. So, it hasn't been a perfect year. And we talked about unforced error in the second quarter where we had one contract where we had to take, in essence, an adjustment to the contract. But we're working, what I would say, not just hard, but seeing results in improving our program management on the space side. On the UAS and side, we're seeing that business do quite well. They just got announced that the Army has bought prototypes for their long-range reconnaissance
That is the next
contract,
panel.
which is
Just
coming in the future.
It will disappear
In
soon.
2026, the budget allocation for that, which is still on request, is more than $320 million. So we are in a very good position on the UAS with the Army. We provide a lot of our drones to the Marines, by the way, Marines and Special Forces, and to the Ukrainian Army, Britain. We have a contract with the Canadians, Latvians, Lithuanians. So pretty well diversified on the UAS front, but the Marines have been a particularly close to our heart. All right. I tried to get done with 5 minutes.
Just got badged in by Drone Shield Limited CEO as the next person on the screen. Ignore him.
I have a few. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, maybe just given the Edge Autonomy acquisition, I guess what are the capital allocation priorities from here on?
So, I mean, as much as we've done a lot of M&A, right, our capital allocation is very much organic growth, right? And so for us, we have a rubric that's based on return on invested capital. We are very focused on revenue growth because in many ways, this time frame in space is really about getting to the beachfront property. So we've been deliberate about getting to the beachfront property, which means that sometimes we will bid development projects, which might have a lower margin. But on a total return on invested capital, we would see how we would allocate. I wouldn't say we're agnostic from the standpoint of like, do we want to put a lot of capital in our drone business? No, we want to try and spread it, but we are following our customer. And generally the customer allows us to be fairly balanced. You've seen that. Like you'd think that the customer wants all of our antennas. We've generally seen it work out over the last 3 to 5 years that we've seen good diversification and good improvement on returns on invested capital, which is why you've seen our cash burn on a run rate basis come down over the last 4 years.
Definitely. And maybe you could talk more to that, the diversified nature of your business and how that's a competitive advantage.
Well, I mean, the perfect example is 4 years ago when we went public, we were 60% civil space. So that was mostly NASA because we didn't have a really big European presence. Today, our civil business, which is NASA and ESA, is less than 31% of our revenue. And the national security business, which was around 11% 4 years ago, is now more than 30%. And so, again, we follow the customer because our unique technologies can be used across customer classes. We just announced 2 years ago that our rollout solar array was being used with the Thales Alenia Space Inspire satellite, which is a geo satellite. Now we have a bigger commercial customer there, which is used for commercial satellites. It can be used for national security too. But generally, we're following our customer, and these customer classes we're finding allow for that diversification.
Excellent. And maybe
by the way, one last thing. Space is very local. You'd think space is space. It's very local. You have to be on the ground in the country or the state or the location to really be relevant. And so it's very important that we have, in our opinion, a global presence.
Definitely a very interesting nuance. Maybe just squeezing one more in, looking 5 years out, high level, kind of what's the outlook and, how do you envision things playing out with RedWire? I
mean, again, we try, I'm not saying, I had a mentor of mine who was a great CEO say, you don't want to, under-promise and over-deliver, you want to over-promise and over-deliver, right? So we try to be careful, and space can create a lot of false promises and excitement. But that being said, I think when AE came up with the model of what RedWire would become, it would become a multi-billion-dollar revenue, profitable to net income, not be a 16% free cash flow yield, but enough yield to be able to keep growing this business organically at greater than 20%. If you can grow a defense and aerospace company at 20%, do that profitably, have some free cash flow, that's a super valuable property. There are companies today, I don't want to get into specific names, that grow at 10%, are free cash flow neutral to slightly negative, and they're trading at 50 times EBITDA, right? And don't get me started about the space companies who are way negative, right? But they're going to the beachfront property, and when they win, we will win. But I think that's the idea of what RedWire would become, and it's exciting for our investors, but it's also going to be a bit volatile. We're trying to bring down that volatility by having a differentiation of diversification, profitability, and growth.
Excellent. That was a great overview, and thanks for thanks for coming. And we look forward to all the great things with RedWire, and we look forward to having you back next year.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate Gabelli. Thank you.
That was 31st Annual Aerospace and Defense Conference by Gabelli Funds. You were watching RedWire with their updates, with their business update. Fairly interesting company. We happen to have Drone Shield CEO taking over the end of their presentation. It just happens. It's a conference. You have guests
Right.
back to back.
So now I'd like to introduce our next company.
Hang on, I can hear something.
Drone Shield.
Okay, we can't hear it anymore. Yeah, it sometimes happens. We have guests back to back, so it just happens. Let me know what you think about the company. I have learned quite a lot of interesting facts. We have some investors. Let me just end the poll as well. We have 28% people invested in RedWire. We have great audience. If you enjoy this stream, don't forget to hit the like button. If you are interested in RedWire and aerospace and defense, consider a subscription as well. We are giving you, namely, I'm giving you pretty much daily updates on eVTOLs, advanced air mobility, aerospace and defense. Before we go to the next event will be Aero Group. I'll tell you about it shortly. Martyn Lucas and his wife Leah. We probably don't have any good news from the hospital visit, so may I just ask you, let's send all love to Martyn and Leah on Discord, in here, in the comments below the video, wherever. Let's just snow them over with love and prayers and thoughts. It must be quite stressful now for both of them. So let's think about them. Let's pray for them and send them some love. Let me know what you think of this company. The next event will be Aero Group. That they recently IPO'd a couple of months ago. Their price pretty much doubled of the IPO. Big defense aerospace player. They are developing their own eVTOL, their subsidiary Jaunt Mobile, and also they have very tight connection with Joby Aviation, because you will find out on the next event. You'll find out what they are supplying to Joby. Right, that's it for this event. Next one is starting. Next one is starting in 18 minutes. So you have 3 ways how to get in there. You either stay where you are and it will take you to the next event. In the chat, pinned on top of the chat, there is a link to the next event, or under the video, if you are rewatching the video, there is in the description is the link as well. Also, you can see it on the homepage of the Martyn Lucas channel. If you are rewatching this video, here is my playlist. Here is something related to this content. That's it from me. I will see you in 17 minutes with Aero Group and their presentation. Take care of yourselves and each other.